Hello everyone, this is Russell Wright from networkempire.com, and if you've arrived here, you probably already know us, and if you haven't ever seen our material before, we are the creators of some of the most advanced market research material and software, enterprise level software in the world, including the themezoom.com natural language processing and vertical market research application, which really helps you look at vertical markets at a glance and decide where all the money is within that market. I have on this call with me the developers of our new product, which is version 3.6, correct, Sue?
Yes.
And this application is called Domain Web Studio. It's a amazing project that helps you literally build an empire from front to back. When I say empire, those of you who've been with us for years, you know that there's a huge difference between what we do and what you see out there in internet land. And so today we're going to get right into it. I've got the developer, Matt DeCruz, and Sue Bell on the line with me. We're going to actually just show you a quick overview front to back how this application will help you literally build your blog or website empire, control it, syndicate. You have literally the research to find the best keywords in the market using vertical analysis, determine the best silo structure to rank for thousands of keywords using far fewer inbound links than your competition ever dreamed of, integrate those into a massive structure that can be several websites or one website, however you want to do it, syndicate, you can outsource the content, include the content. It's literally an empire builder. And with that, I'm going to get out of the way, and we're going to walk Matt through this application. Matt's going to walk us through this application, and if I have any questions, I'm just going to jump in. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you, Russell. Hi, Sue, Russell. Great to have you be on the call with you guys. Yeah, so what we've done is with version 3.6, we've scanned through the help desk requests, the suggestions, all the feedback the community has given us, and we've carefully analyzed what the guys are saying, and we've built in a lot of new features as well as cleaned the whole suite up in many ways, and also simplified it and made the step-by-step process much more intuitive, i.e. easier to understand. The whole point of Domain Web Studio is to basically stop guys lily hopping when they're working on their projects, and it gives them a process to follow from the start to the finish. So just to keep this call limited, I could talk for hours in detail through the thing, but in this call I'm just going to give you a very brief top-level overview of the actual procedures that we have to run through and show you the screens of how they work with you. So what we've done is we're on the home screen now. This is what holds all your projects, and I'm going to drop into that project. This is just a demo putting up for you. And when you click on the folder, it opens up, and you can see off the team communications, silo blueprint, the DNA braid blueprint, the team manager, the content manager. That's content for your primary website that you built, your promotional blueprint, and where you export your website or your primary blog blueprint. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the silo blueprint, and this is the beginning point of the process. Before I go there, what we built in here is a team communication manager, which basically creates almost like a blog thread where you can specifically assign tasks and deadlines to or groups of people on that. It just gives you a template. You can select a department that you want to assign a task to. It filters who it is. You can select who the email is going to, and from here you can multi-select multiple users. So if we had to do that, essentially what will happen every time someone responds to this thread, those people that have been CC'd into the actual task will get notified as well, and all the people can speak. So if you've got people working on the same project, effectively you can have a communication going out to all these people, and whenever they respond, everybody gets notified instantly, which is actually very, very good from a communication level where everybody's in the know of what's going on with regards to a particular project. And over here you can set the priorities, if it's a recurring task, whether it's active, completed, is it annual, monthly, weekly, daily. So that's just a simple little interface built in to help guys with their team and what they're doing. And whenever you give instructions, it will appear within the task notes over here. If the instruction becomes behind schedule, it moves up over here, and you'll actually see a notification saying the guy's not completed this task. So from a project management perspective, as you log into your system, straight away you can see the important tasks that are getting behind, and you can just deal with them. But I'm going to just jump now straight into a project, and we can see the process from start to finish. So I'm going to Silo Blueprint. This is where everything begins. This is where you import your keywords into DWS, and this is where we set up our business rules, and then we start designing the actual Silo framework that we will put content into at Age. So what happens here, top navigational bar maps out the procedures that you run through from start to finish. So you'll start with the Silo framework. If you hover over it, you'll see the advanced Silo framework manager opens up, and that essentially helps you move multiple keywords at once within a silo category reporting articles. So you can really build out blueprints super fast when you're an advanced user and you know what you're doing. The very next we do our DNA braid, and in this procedure over here, we've created a bot that will go and import the competitor pages and other bits of information from the web, compile all the data, and typically we have this bot running while we're mapping out our Silo framework. So by the time we come here to add our supporting keywords and our synonyms, which we'll use in the copy, the context of the articles, as well as for anchor text, we've got everything prepared and prepped and ready for us. And it also reveals more information which you need to contend and think about, but I'll cover that shortly. Next, we've got the team manager. The reason why the team manager is here, before you start writing your content and building your website and then promoting your website, you need to get your team in place, and you need to sort of understand how much capacity they've got left to work with. So once you've got your team sorted out, you can issue instructions, get the content written. Once it's written, you export out the XML files, the primary website, or and import it with our plugin, and that will rapidly build out your website literally in minutes. I've done another video which I showed the guys. I built the entire website in 10 minutes flat from start to finish using the plugins we designed for this.
Right, and Matt, that's available for them to see at siloblogbuilder.com if they want to watch your video. It's up there.
Yeah, I've got a stopwatch running, guys, so if you don't believe me, go over watch. It's 10 minutes of your time. You'll see how we knock a site together in 10 minutes that has been optimized, and it's a proper silo structured website in the WordPress framework. And then the promotional plan, this is where we start promoting the website we've just built. And this is a different blueprint that you design to basically communicate with the audience and drive traffic to your website. So you can see the process is actually very simple. Website, map out your framework, design the DNA braid, i.e. pull in the competitor data, understand how competitive your market is, grab the most important synonyms and supporting keywords, merge them into the campaigns, set up your team, write the content, build the website, promote the website. That's the job done. It's very, very simple. And this works for individuals, i.e. guys that are doing everything themselves. This makes it super intuitive and super easy to use, as well as for guys who have got teams working with them. They can work on this process as a project manager, and from this dashboard, you essentially control not just one project, but all their projects, and see exactly who and what everybody's working on at this current point in time. So we're on the Silo framework screen now, and what we do in this screen is we basically map out our blueprint on these little, you can see how our website structure has been mapped out and how we've got nested within silos. Basically, the way this screen works is keywords, and this is where the power of DWS comes into play. All you've got to do is simply click on this tab here. The source we get from. So if you're getting it from Kraken Voma or from the Kraken import list, you select that, you point to your CSV file, click import, and that will hoover in all your keywords. When it gets hoovered in, if we click on the third tab, we've got rules and filters. And one of the major developments we've put into this version 3.6 is we've created a system that works with your business rules. So I'll start with that first. Down here at the project conversion rules, what we're doing is we're saying we're estimating that 25% of the traffic will come from Google, 25% of the people clicking our link when they land on our landing page, 3% of them will convert. And if you've got a business that's local and you're driving local leads and all that kind of stuff, or you've got a sales team that sits and receives the leads that come from your website and then phones the client back, what to do there is put in the conversion rate. So I'm just going to say 70% of the people that my sales team speaks to. That could be a call center, it could be your ladies in your office or the sales team in the office. You put what their average percentage is in, and what this does is it works out roughly how much traffic you really need to drive to your website. And this is a very important factor to keep in mind when you're actually starting off a project. So in order for us to achieve a monthly goal of 5,000, so this will take us up to 25,000 is our target. We want to earn 25 grand a month. Our budget is 30 grand per month that we're going to spend. So this is taken down to 10,000. That's our budget. Basically, we need to generate 250 sales to achieve a 25,000 profit margin. That basically means we've got 33 people. For every 33 people that come to our website, that'll create one sale. So essentially, we need to drive 8,000 people to our landing page, but to achieve our goal, we need 11,786 people hitting that website that are unique every single month. So now we've got our flagstones, and this is a major important factor that is part of DWS. So what happens when we actually take the conversion up by 2%? So I'm taking it to 5. You can see how the numbers have dropped from 11,000. By making an on-page conversion of 2% increase, the requirement of traffic we need has been cut in half from 11,000 to basically 7,000. And that's a major feature. The next big thing we've done here is we've put in PageRank buffer, where you can use this to build out your silos. So the way this works is no market is the same, and every time you develop a new website, whoever you're competing with, you're dealing with a totally different type of competition, if I could call it that. And you could have a website that's or a market or a theme that is hollow, i.e. the guys haven't optimized it, there's not much backlinks pointed to the sites, the sites are pretty hollow, they're not really strong and grounded. You change this number, and this directly impacts the cost of what it, and the content level that you require. So I'm just going to basically update this to give you this example. I'll take it down to 2. Just wait for the page to load.
While that's loading, I want to point out that you can change that for each silo. So if you've got one silo that's competitive, you can set that as higher, and another silo that's not so competitive, you can set it as lower. Right?
Yeah. Every time you change the amount of content that you need, basically changes. So for a page of 4,700,000 pages, at a minimum, we need 8 articles to get basically placed underneath this keyword here. And if you hover over it, it'll just give you what the cost will be to develop the content for that specific keyword. At the moment, just to verify what Sue was saying, is when you run it silo per silo, this is something that is basically being used. So you can use it to assess what it's going to be, but I would suggest this having, for this time being, PageRank average across the whole theme of the website. So try and figure out an average later on and have it set at that, just so that your content costs and stuff get in line. This one here, the double, 11. So remember, this is a hollow PageRank 2 market. We need 8 content. So if we come back and we're dealing with, on average, would be a PageRank 5, being at that market in the UK, PageRank 5 or 6. So on average, if I said it was 5, for those 2 keywords, we needed 8 or 11 articles. Now you'll see what happens when we're more competitive, well-established market that has got high page ranks. And the reason why we've done this and built it out this way, so you can see your cost has increased. From 8, we've gone up to 20, and from 11, we've gone to 2. That was $120, has gone up to $300. And this is a major thing we've done. We've adjusted this to basically give you the barrier of entry. So you sort of know, right, to enter this market, this is my minimum spend I'm actually looking at. And when you're speaking to your clients, this becomes actually a much better way to sell to them, because the numbers aren't scary. They aren't looking at $20,000, $30,000 figures next to keywords. They're looking at the bare minimum costs, the barrier to entry. Sue, would you like to have a chat on this?
I think you covered that pretty well, actually.
Cool. So this has totally changed the way the whole game works. And when you speak to your clients now, you can use this as a quote engine, and it becomes much more efficient. So typically, all you got to do here is manage, input your keywords, adjust what your average page rank is. This spits out roughly what you're going to need, and it gives you a good idea of, are you going to make money on this keyword or not? And you can see whether it's profitable. If it's not profitable, for example, that keyword's got no search volume, no one's interested in free credit services, it flags it up and shows you, don't even bother with this keyword. Whereas with this one here, once you rank for this keyword, essentially your business could be making 12 grand a month based on the conversions of the traffic and what you have, and factoring all the costs to actually get that content developed for the primary website. So under the charts over here, these charts basically give you 4 different views of the data imported in. And when you're looking at direct sales, i.e. you're selling something directly to your website, you can see roughly what the turnover is going to be annually. And if you're dealing with conversions from your offers, where your sales force is basically picking up leads and converting, you can see annually what that keyword was worth to you versus the monthly turnover. So you can start seeing which keyword is the most profitable of the year. The next, you can see which keywords people are actually spending a lot of money in. So credit report has got a lot of spend in it. So how do you establish where advertising are putting their attention? Then we can look at the top search keywords, what people are actually looking for. And then finally, we can look at what are the most competitive keywords, which keywords are the competing. So with Bad Credit, it's got 61 million competing pages. 90,000 people are searching for that keyword every single month. But Bad Credit, not much people spending much money with it. So it's quite interesting how you can look at this and cross-correlate what those keywords actually mean to your business using that chart there. Right. So once you've got in and you've more solid blueprint, then you're ready to sort of go to the next step, and this is to start looking at how competitive the keywords are, how optimized is the actual keyword stuff. And while we've been mapping out our blueprints and shifting the keywords from the keyword decision screen into our framework, we can have our little bots running that we designed that will actually go and do the boring task and collate the information and import them into the system for yourself. So when I built this out, I had it done, and now I've come to the solid DNA braid. Now this is a very important feature from DWS because number one, it gives you an overview of what's going on with each keyword, and at this level you start thinking of each keyword as a campaign. Every single page you put into your solid framework, you want that page to either lead into a sale, i.e. drive traffic to actually sell something, or it's got to convert itself. But they have to have a specific goal because you're going to be driving promotional traffic to each one of the pages within your site. So when I clicked on Bad Credit, this little chart shows us up. We call this the prom index, and basically what this indicates to us is that there's a lot of content in the Google index which is pretty high on this keyword. And this would tell me straight away I need to go look at the index and see, is all the content containing Bad Credit at the back of the index? So you go to the back pages. If it is, then you know that this keyword is highly optimized. There's a lot of people optimizing and doing SEO on a keyword. The problem basically gives us a gauge of how difficult it's going to be to get ranked. Especially, we're looking at a 400 score over here, and prom level is a difficulty level which is between 1 and 4. So this is an intermediate keyword, but it's got a high content threshold. So this would be something we want to have. If we click on this tab over here, what it does are keywords in our blueprint, and it gives us a chart where we can look at rough from index. We can see there's a lot of key high scores versus the prom is sort of sitting here at the 400, 300 range, and the difficult is sitting at 3 at the most. That's marked achievable. All we got to do is just verify that this is just not pages in the omitted results that are just there by default. And the index is actually highly optimized, because they will need to know what we need to promoting us, how much promotion we actually need to put into each of these type of keywords. So Russ, would you like to have anything to say on this part of stuff?
Not at this time. Let's just keep moving through so we can get all the tabs.
Cool, no worries. So yeah, what happens is with the braid, essentially all we're going to do here, the bot's going to fetch all the code we need for analysis later on. But what we need to custom and what are our custom keywords. And we've got these two bars here where we can basically inject customized stuff into this. So by default, DWS actually pre-assigns keywords to you. There you can see I've added a few custom ones in, but on the default ones, yeah, you can see it supporting keywords get built out for you by default, and then you can come and tweak them slightly more and add them in. Now typically you're looking for 2 or 3 custom keywords to add to the list, but DNA has also assigned the contextual keywords for you. If you want to know what's going on with the competitors over here, we show you the top 5 competitors and how optimized they are and what the average page rank is between all those. So that's a page rank of 4. So once we've gone and built out our braid, with in mind that the braid's going to get text, our supporting keywords, our contextual keywords, and our synonyms for all our copy, we now come to the team. And this is a new feature we've added here. And what this does is it looks at all the projects that you've got going in your company, and then it looks at how much time is actually left for the person working. So when you look at my load here, I've got 175 hours in total. Basically, it's 25 days a month and 7 hours a week I can work. Gives me 175 hours. Of the 75 hours, I've used up 39. So when you look at this chart, I've not reached full capacity at this point in time. I've only used a quarter or probably a fifth of the available time that I've got to work. So if you've got 4 or 5 guys working for you, you'll very quickly see how much of the time the guys are actually going to use, and you can actually assign more work to me and really optimize their time. This is one of the things we did in the call centers to view how busy the guys were. We click on the plus sign and it breaks it down by project. So on credit repair, I got 36 hours, and then on serialthecruise.com, there's roughly 3 hours worth of work sitting there waiting for me to do.
Excellent.
To add a team, simply click that, and you can just fill in this added person into the team for you. And then there's another feature we built into DWS to help with micromanagement of, so instead of employing someone full-time or getting an assistant to do work for you for a month, we've created an outsourcing directory essentially, and what this does is it really breaks down orders into categories. So example, account creation services, for OnlyWire, for Ping FM, Pixel Pipe, Twitter, YouTube, article creation, article servers like article spinning, rewriting submissions. And we've linked them to places in the Warrior Forum and Farm. And as we walk through this list, it goes through backlinks, graphic design, searching, YouTube subscribers, video services, video air submissions, video testimonials, video virtual assistants, voiceovers, WordPress installations, WordPress fixes. It gives us a full list of services. So what you can do is you just click on the link. What we'll do is it'll open up Fiverr Football, and it'll bring you the top rated guys straight away. So you can literally go look at that query for Facebook, and you can see what you can find there for Fiverr, and you can get guys to do little bits of tasks. So if your team is a team and they're really swamped and they can't work, but you've got certain little tasks that need to get done, this is an effective way to basically just go get that specific pigeonholed task done, have this guy go do the work, and then you just fill in the gaps and update the things and get it done very quickly. So there's quick access for managing a team. If it does good work for you, obviously scoop him, get him to work for you full-time, get him to become part of your team. Next thing we're going to do is content management. And screen, we've done a lot of work. We've basically rewritten the whole section to make it simpler to use. So on the left-hand side here, we've got the process. You order your content, you do your current tasks, you can see it for this month, you can see your completed tasks this month, or you can see all the tasks and all the completed tasks. So essentially all it is order your content, which puts it over here, and then current tasks. So when the content screen loads up, it brings up all the work from the top down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first show you the order content screen. Very easy to use. This is the contract for ordering your content. So you can assign it to a team member. You can define the type of content where it's going. So it's going to our primary website. You can define the level. So we've got an A to E level, where E is the lowest quality, i.e. it's just spun content. We don't recommend using that much there. But typically, anything from C, A, B, C, that's typically what you want to use in this day and age, where the grammar is correct and everything's worked, the keywords are embedded. Okay, so I'm going to just leave it at the premium one. We can define how many words to be in the article. And as you go through this form, you fill it in, and you set the deadline of when you want this done. Okay, so I'm just going to set this to next month, the 1st, and I'm going to just do this for the blog. So then when we come down here and see all our keywords print. And when you look at this list, when you see a tick mark, that means the article is written, it's been done, so you don't have to do it again. Okay, so I'm just going to say on these 3 keywords, I want to order the content to be written for my primary website. I click on the order button, and what it does is it brings up the default project management template that we have in here. If this, you can basically control or delete it. But what it does, it gives you a framework to work with if you haven't got a template, where you can see the what's expected, what's acceptable, what's not allowed, and further information. You can basically just fill in the gaps. You click send, and that will send an email to Sarah and land in her work bin. What you'll note over here is now we've got all our tasks. We've got primary content written for our primary website and one for our blog. You can see the 3 tasks have been added to this list over here. Okay, so when we come to our current tasks for the month, those tasks will be out of the queue because at the moment we need up and get all this work finished. So we can see what's the targeted keyword, as well as what's the assigned anchor text for the keyword. Okay, and when it's due, if it's behind schedule, you'll see a little red flag appearing up over here when it gets behind schedule over here. Now to write the content, all you got to do is simply click on the icon, with the edit icon, just below excuse me. What happens is your editing screen opens up. But what you got here, you got all your contextual keywords that you want to have in your copy. You got all your synonyms that you've assigned, and you got all your supporting keywords. So all you've got to do here is just go through this process, write the painkiller headline for your article, write your article out, give it a name that's, you can name this, this is just for internal purposes. This is the page title, so when the page gets published, that'll be the page title that's up over here. If you want to use your meta keywords, you can stick them in there. You can write your description using a DNA braid, and then you can write an article synopsis. Simply all you do is you insert the article, and this task that you've opened up here will move down to the completed tasks. And the screen's exactly the same. It's the same process again. So if you want to make a tweak to that article, you simply click on it, and you can come in there and make an update to the article, and you can change within the copy right over here. The screen, you essentially can move this up and down, resize the editor, and you can change it to how you want to work. Yeah. So that's what's content. So once all our content's written, come here, XML file out. This will build out the whole solid. It'll grab all the content that we've wrote task and will inject it into this XML file. And this is where we'll use the Silo plugin at silobuild.com. And that will hook in that whole XML file. It'll build your whole Silo framework out for you in WordPress. It'll create everything and put all the content in all the right places. Everything will be done. Your meta descriptions will all be ready. So if you're using a keyword plugin like SEO Ultimate, they'll all be put in the right places. Everything will be prepped and ready literally in seconds. Then it's just for you to go and actually optimize the whole website, tweak it out, fine-tune it, get the theme right, so you can focus more on the look and the feel and the conversions of your pages. So then last thing we have to do, our website's live, we're going to come to our promotional plan. We've done a lot of enhancements on this module. So when we start to promote, I'll give you a little bit of information over here of what you need to do, because essentially you've come from a technical analysis mode where you built your silo framework and you've written the copy to convert. You come from a very, very technical process. Now you want to come to a promotion process where you want to sell the click. You want to drive traffic to your websites, because it's the traffic that you're driving that creates the conversions, that creates the sales, that meets your bottom line. So that's what you need to keep in mind all the time. So what happens is PWS shows you, when you hit the screen, all your keywords, what they're worth to you, whether or not they're in the promotion at this point in time or not. Okay. It gives you a project overview, and then it starts showing you your ranking factors. Look at this project here. We can see that there's 235,000 clicks on average, but the average page rank is a 3.27 across all the keywords. What are the keywords, the highest page rank that we are? And then over here we can see which companies that have got the gain share or ranked, who ranks the most. So we can see that Money Saving Expert, for example, he's got the biggest percentage. He owns 13% of that market share out of all the ranked positions. The chart just below here shows us the comp versus the nemesis. Now, typically the nemesis is classed as a bad thing. It's the bad big guys. It's Amazons, the eBays, it's the Wikipedias. I slightly look at that from a different perspective. I see them as opportunities. Now, when we see, if we're doing e-commerce type websites and we see an eBay store popping up, or we see an Amazon store popping up, what I would try and do is I would try and get my products in Amazon and into eBay, drive backlinks and traffic to that actual eBay product, and use the website's authority to try and get that ranked on the front page as well as my content. So I take up more equity on the front page. So this actually points out opportunities when you look at it from that perspective. So as we scroll down, the next is all our page rank factors for competitor factors, who's ranked on what keyword, what's their page rank, how much pages they've got in detail. So we can just quickly see what we're up against, and then at the bottom of the page, we just have a quick snapshot of the content distribution, omitted results, the PROM index, the PROM score, and the difficulty score. So it's strategy. If you're dealing with a client, you essentially can take a screenshot of this whole page, crop it, and you can send this to your, this is the overview of your market that we need to promote. So the promotion will begin, and we'll use this linear process from top to bottom over here, where step one, we want to set up a promotional plan. That's basically where we're promoting and what are the costs to develop our content. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to manage the promotional blueprint. We're going to actually create a plan, and we're going to do some modeling. And there's a new feature we built in where you can actually plot out things, print them, and you can look at different models for promotion and see the effect and the cost of it. I'll show that shortly. We're going to create accounts. We're going to write up promotional content for different promotion types. Basically, write the promotional content over here, and then we're going to publish. And then that will automatically get dropped into your one feed, which will then bookmark it and create more backlinks, linking back to your promotional content, and that will also then link back to your prior keyword that you're targeting. So I'm just going to run through this quickly. The promotional plan is very important because this is where we define if we're doing business to business, business to consumer type of sales. Is it local, national? What are the top promotional places used? But also, this is where we fill in our website URL, okay? Just be the website with no / at the end. Just your website domain and your blog. And I'll show you why we do this over here. Next, we're going to put in what's our promotional development costs and what's the cost to use repurposed content. Repurposed content is where we're taking a primary article or article that exists, and we're repurposing it for promotion. So it's almost going to lead the person to come back to our blog or our primary website. We're going to put the company or the addressing to them from use in directory submissions and all that kind of stuff. And then over here, we'll do a little elevator pin where they can be used for profiles, they can be used for directory submissions, or they can be used as bios. Okay, and you can also link to a picture on one of your servers. So once we've got this set up, we can start a promotional plan. And this is where we're going to map out our promotional blueprint for the next year. These are the tasks we'll do on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis throughout the next year, and we use this to build the brand, get the content out there that people can understand what we're doing, who we're selling. We're putting all the information out on the web to drive traffic back to our sites. So once again, we see all our keywords. You can filter here by keywords. So let's make an example. We're doing seasonal work, and summer season's coming up, and we basically, we want to start planning for summer. We start promoting the summer stuff, and we want to get all our summer stuff ranked. You can just type the keyword in on the keyword that you're looking for, and it'll filter it down, so it makes it a little bit easier to use. But essentially the way this works is pretty simple. We've got the execute and the include button. We've got the finalize blueprint button. Now, the execute and include impacts the charts below here and shows us what happens when we include our keywords into the promotional plan and how the workload and the cost expands as we start promoting stuff. The finalized blueprint locks it down. So you can see the little green ticks are things that has been finalized, and that's set in stone. It will never change it. If I came here, for example, let me show you this first. So we've got these keywords finalized in our blueprint. These are the keywords we're going to promote from. So what it shows us here is basically from March to October what our workload is going to be and what the costs are going to be. So the red line is your new content cost, the yellow line is repurposed content, and the blue bars is load per month. This is good for a project manager because they can see where the peaks are. So essentially they can see where they need to ramp up staff. So in March they've got hardly any work, but April, May, June, they're going to need more guys. They must start considering finding people to do the work for them in March already. They're for guys to start doing this work over here. And they can see for the next 4 or 5 months, the guys will be pretty busy. You get a breakdown over here, and the next chart is the promotion type. You'll see what type of promotions you're doing. So this helps you, type of person you're going to find to do the work. So it's no point looking for a content writer if you're going to be doing a lot of social type of work. One thing about these charts is when you write, you can export as a PDF, a PNG, or a JPEG, and you can also copy all the metadata in a comma-separated format and stick it into a spreadsheet if you want, so dynamically work with you. So here we can see all the promotion types for unique, the cost, repurpose, and what's the potential saving if you use repurposed content. So you can see we can make saving. And then by keyword, we can see by week from start date, end date, how we're going to do week by week, month by month, what the costs are going to be every week, every month, and what keyword we're going to be promoting as we go through this process. So this is very, very, very powerful when you start looking at your promotional plan from this way. And essentially, you can use this to actually drive sales in your business, because you can say to your client, look, we'll give you a solid plan. So I've added 4 keywords there, and I just want to include them and see what happens to the workload. So in April, we have 32 tasks. So if I include these keywords, what's going to... So what happens is DWS runs off, and looks at the blueprint, it looks at the page rank, it looks at all these factors, calculates it roughly what you need to get done, and then dynamically suggests a promotional plan. So basically what's happened now is the workload has increased from 8 to 28. You can see April, May, and June has got a lot more sturdier. There's much, much more work here. So depending on the client's scale, their deadlines, you'll be able to say to them, look, if we're going to do all this work, we're going to have to ramp up. So therefore your costs are going to increase, and you're going to pay a bigger monthly fee. And you can see over here, from a month-to-month basis, for the first few months, there's going to be a ton of distribution and building on the website. But as you start with the lower, long-tail type of keywords in your promotions and building up those supporting articles and getting them ranked, getting the categories ranked, and you're finally working on the silent keywords, the promotion is teetering down. And what's good about the way it works is the signals that we have over here and the different types of promotions we're doing is up and down. So there's a lot of noise being created, but not bad noises, because we're capturing all over the place, and there's a lot of activity with the site, and things are moving in all different places. And the difference with what we're doing and automated software does is we're actually thinking about what we're putting in the web, where we're putting it, and how we're putting it out there. There's a purpose behind everything we're doing with DWS, which makes this extremely powerful.
Exactly.
If you don't want to do those keywords, want to stick to your plan, simply click the X2 button, and it just resets it back to what was finalized, what you're happy with. So what I like to do with this screen is I like to do modeling. I will say, okay, if I focus on this, look at it from a business perspective, what's going to be the most profitable for my business right now? What is driving the business? What's creating sales? What can we do to actually improve the bottom line? And I do a few different forecasts and different keywords, and I see what the modeling is. Then we look at what's the cost to get this set up versus what's going to happen with the bottom line, how much more profit will we make. And you can sort of play between the two, and you can really start making solid decisions about your business and what you can be doing. And this is what's different about DWS and the network empire. We're building this from a business perspective. We're not building this from an SEO perspective. We've done our SEO up front over here. We've done all the calculations. We've made our good decisions. Now we're thinking about, okay, how do we create conversions? How do we ramp up the business and make the business better? Yeah. So that's how that works there. The next process is basically creating your account. I'm just going to briefly go through this course. Everybody creating accounts and putting your stuff on them. The process is simple. You sit down, get the guys, and this will keep record of all your account details for you. If there's custom properties you want to add, you can simply fill in this form. From our specific bit, and they'll go into your private promotional property. For the guys who are not too familiar, not too sure what they want to do, I've created this reference chart using data from Concast. What this does, by default, it opens up with the US, and these are very interesting. When you look at them from 10 to 1,000, the charts get a bit unlegible when you get them really high, so by default it's 25. But this gives you an indication of the most popular websites by country. At the moment we're just speaking countries. But what's interesting here, what I've noticed is that Google is huge in the US, YouTube is huge, Facebook, Amazon, Yahoo, Twitter, MSN, Wikipedia, all the other ones, yeah. But the guys using mobile devices, they use mobile devices, they're using answers.com. It's got the biggest market, this is Google. And it's giving you a total different perspective. So with AI becoming more predominant and people using more iPads and Androids and all that kind of stuff, and mobile devices are becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, mobile devices versus website browsing from computers is still, here it's still small, but it's growing really quickly in comparison. You can check by the numbers. But the reason why I put this up here is to demonstrate. If we go from United States to the United Kingdom, we press the button. If you're using clients in a different country, essentially the popular websites are not the same as this. Helps you see what these people like using. So yeah, all of a sudden WordPress is used in the in answers.com, which is in America, where Answers has got the shit. And it's very interesting. Yeah, we've got hub pages and Squidoo and a few other things. And you can use this to basically find whatever properties that people use. And that can help make decisions on what you're going to use here for your promotions, especially when you look at, because you need to find where the people are, and you sort of need to know what are the popular brands that people use when they're actually browsing the web. So that's just the purpose of the reference chart over there for creating promotional properties. Have you guys got any comments on that?
No, it's all good.
Cool. Okay, so the next thing is just to order the content. This process here is pretty, you can order by all keywords 4 weeks, or by specific keyword here. So if I just click on all keywords, remember click on promotional content, you'll see directories, blog articles, and press releases come up. What you can do over here is you can specify how many articles you want. So we can see we need 4 articles left over there, so I want that now. But you can specify the time here and how much you want to pay that person to write that specific article. By default, DWS puts the repurposed content price in over here. And you'll notice on press releases the price is more expensive. These prices come from what you set up in your promotional plan, and it's just to save you time so you don't have to type out every single time what you want to do. If we go to conversational content, these properties typically go to social groups because you're speaking with other people, you're interacting with them. So you can see how the promotional content has been broken out in different ways. So that content will be written in a different way in comparison to article directories. Branding content, this is typically your directories and your, what is it again? Your local directories and your directory submissions. This is where you'll be putting the business address and the CEO bio and the elevator pitch where you've got limited information. That's where you'll grab that information and you'll push that out to the audience. And you can see how we've got a little task set over there. Once you've done this, you simply go there and click the button. You write in the instruction what the guys need to do and what you expect from them. And that will drop into the promotional content tasks for the month. So over here, we give you a bit of a description just to get your mindset into the right place. Here's another major feature what we've done in the promotional content for you. We've taken things a whole step further. Same as before icon to open up the editor when you're writing. See, I've been coding, so I've not been doing my work. Late flags have popped up. Catch up with all my work. But here's something that's very important. By default, we know the campaign keyword pages we're sending the traffic to is bad credit. DWS pre-assigns the anchor text for you. So if you're working with your DNA braid and your primary anchor text, what this does is it will actually go and pre-assign the primary keyword or one of your DNA braid keywords for you based on a special algorithm we've written, so that when you're promoting content, your backlink portfolio actually expands. You're not just using the same anchor text all the time. You're actually using your anchor text plus your contextual keywords, plus your supporting keywords, plus your DNA braid keywords. Everything's being used in the anchor text as being pre-assigned to, excuse me, to that specific article. And this is really powerful. I could speak a lot about this, but to keep this short, essentially what happens is you're going to get a portfolio of different types of anchor text linking directly back to bad credit. So with the assignment of anchor text for each piece of content, so if you put into an article, always try and use one of those. You're not forced to use it. We do recommend it, but you're not forced to use it. This is where the network building comes up, because essentially what you're doing is you're going to be building clusters of tightly themed third ring promotional content that's going to be linked back to your website. And as the page rank flows through these properties, the search engines will pick up on your anchor text, they'll see where it's going to, and they'll see it's relevant, and it's good content writing. And that's all going to lead back to your primary website. And the theme is carried all the way throughout all those connections. Over here's another example where we've got bad credit rating is put as an anchor text for the keyword bad credit that we're trying to get ranking for. So as you come to this over here, because we're writing promotions, we don't really get hopping backwards and forwards, trying to remember what you wrote for the primary article. So by clicking this tab, once we've written our primary article for that page, that article will open up over here. So obviously I've clicked on a task that's not been done, so we won't see it. So, but in this tab over here, you'll get your website, the primary website or primary blog article. So if you've written one for each, you'll get them both. And then when you write in this article, you can basically see what you've written before, and you can basically use this to sell the click. So over here, we highlight the anchor text, but we've done something else for you. We've given you the URL, okay? And we've built the code for you. So you got the primary link there. We've gone and built you the URL with the anchor text and tracking code with the pre-assigned keyword in it. So you can literally just go and Control-C that. If we go to our source over here, stick that in there, and come back, we've got a trackable URL. So three things are happening here. One, we press found a URL for you. Two, we press found the anchor text. And three, we've put in the tracking parameters that we can use later on in DWS to see how well this keyword is performing. Now, the numbers reference the articles and all the other things in the system. And this obfuscates the information. So when compared to looking at your links and look at your URLs and see these numbers, it's not going to mean much to them. But when you bring that information back from analytics, in the next minor update, we're going to be working on an importer that you import your analytics, and it does the translation for you. So it looks at those numbers and actually links up the articles with the promotional plan, which is linking back, and it shows you how your promotions are going per keyword.
And per platform, right? So you can actually see which platforms are giving you the most traffic, right?
Yes, that will translate into a graph. So you'll actually have visual pictures as well as files which you can export out, which has translated the binary code, if you could call it that. So we've got pure visibility of how traffic's coming back, and we can actually start seeing these conversions, and we can really start fine-tuning the business. So we got this over here, and then it's the same as before, just below you got your stuff. You don't need to use this if it's going to get posted. We've put this in case you're doing something on WordPress.com or Blogger.com and you want to put your tags in or things like that. You've got places to put additional information if you want to use it. Do you have any comments or something to say with regards to how we're doing auto assignment of anchor text and all that kind of stuff for our viewers?
Well, the one thing that I want to point out is having that article, having the original article on that other tab makes it really easy to curate. So as you're on other platforms and you're wanting to curate, that's also what you were talking about when you were saying repurposing the content. It makes doing these inbound links really quick and very inexpensive.
Cool. So that's the promotional task. So once it's done, you get full visibility. So it's getting dry. Excuse me, it's a drink. Too much talking. Week of the month. So if you're just a single person working with DWS scales with your business. It's not just for enterprise. You can start small and you can build your own enterprise. This is the mindset you need to use when using DWS. You've got to think big. You've got to think of where you want to be. So you can basically manage your own workload. You don't have to go create 10 different login accounts for yourself. You can just have your own single login account, keep it simple, but you can have all your workflow running through all your work. So if you've got clients, you can manage all your client work in DWS, all the content distribution, and you have absolute control of absolutely every single small detail of what you're doing. The completed task is the same thing. Simply come in, click on the link. That brings up the article, and fine-tune it and change it out if you want. In further versions to come, we're going to be introducing to Spinner, the best spinner, and a few others that are out there where you can actually just log in and have whatever you've written over here spun, and you can use it any way you want to use it. So the final task is publishing the tasks, and once you've written your primary article, same story again. We've really simplified so everything you can get familiar with what you're doing. And here is when you pull this up, it brings up the article that's been written, and it shows it to you. So you can take this article now and go and put it wherever you need to put it. If you need to use HTML, you can flip between the source. So if they actually have HTML, you can just flip that around, take it in, and it'll format the article when it goes on the property. It brings up all the information over for additional fields if you're pumping out the pages. You've got the anchor text that you wrote the article that forward because it archives that specific URL for you. And when you've finished, depending on what you create, they will appear over here. So all the directories and all the accounts you got, you can simply select where you've placed it, copy the place where you've actually put the URL, and paste it there, And if you want to log the RSS feed from the place, you can do that as well, and you just say complete task, and that's the job done. As soon as you press this button, that URL that you put in over here, where you've published this place, the exact URL where that article is, that's going to drop in the one feed to rule them all, RSS feed, which will automatically get that content in that article bookmarked, and that will get that page indexed, and then the spot will start running through it. So if you imagine you've got 5 or 6 guys working with you and they're all writing and promoting, every time they're dropping, depending on what projects they're working on, every time they're dropping the content into there and they're publishing and saying it's published and they flag it as published, that's going to run through your one feed, which is then going to drive inbound links back to your website. And I think what's important to remember with the whole promotional plan is you want to drive traffic. It's traffic that creates sales. It's how you communicate with your customers that are the most important parts here. So don't waste your time just writing rubbish content to put it out there to get backlinks. Backlinks aren't what is going to make your website solid in this day and age, especially with what Google's doing now, where they've been knocking a lot of backlink places. You want to create social signals. You want people to respond to your content. You want them to basically make comments on your content. You want them to basically like the content, +1 the content. We've got all this information in the training area. Russell and Sue have spent countless hours writing brilliant, straightforward, down-to-earth, no fluff training on how to do it properly with G++, with Quora, with all these places of how to use it to curate your content, how to get the pluses, how to work on a social graph. And it's all those backlinks that you create from those places and how you connect that all up to feedback to your primary that's going to make your website rock solid. And we're entering into an era now with SEO where the guys who actually think through what they're doing, they're going to be the guys that win. And this is why we've developed, for the last 2 years, I've been developing DWS. It's because we knew that this was coming, and we knew that we had to have a very, very solid grip on what we're doing, because the days of just chucking everything against the wall are basically over. And that's how I'd like to just end this presentation. DWS has been designed for you to have complete control over your entire project from start to finish. With the guys that have been with us from version beta till now, the application has gone through many, many iterations, and it's advanced and got smarter and better every single time we do a new release. So guys, I hope this presentation's been good. I would love to tell you in more detail how each little thing works, but I know that the time is important here. Russ and Stu, would you like to make a few comments? But that's basically the process. Do your framework, create your DNA braid, get your team in place if you're going to use a team, write your content, publish your site, optimize your site, start driving traffic to your site with your promotional plan, start communicating with your audience.
No, I think you presented it brilliantly, and that's really was the purpose of today's presentation, was just to make sure that everyone who is using this application and anyone who's about to use it understand that it's a 6-step process, but we've filled in a lot of the micro processes for you. I've looked at literally hundreds of applications online, and what I do for a living is to inspect and look at different softwares in the SEO and internet marketing industry. This is basically what we've created is what we would want. We drink our own Kool-Aid, so to speak, and there's a lot of thought that's gone into this over the years, and some of the thought is very, very high level. And like Albert Einstein is quoted as saying, you should make things as simple as possible, but not simpler. And although I know some people who come into our programs are hoping for a giant, big, easy button, there isn't one, and Google's making sure of that. But if there was a simple, streamlined process that incorporates the most important aspects of sustainable digital architecture and sustainable business and cash flow, this is it when it comes to the search engines and integrated social media, one feed, and content curation. So Matt, thank you so much for helping us go through this. We're going to be going through it again at some point, and this is good enough for now.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Russell. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.